Here's something that'll blow your mind. The money in your bank account doesn't actually exist. Right now, as you're watching this, about 97% of all money in circulation was never printed, never minted, never physically created. It's just numbers on a screen that banks typed into existence when someone took out a loan. Sounds insane, right? But this isn't conspiracy theory. It's exactly how the debt system works. And once you understand this trick, you'll never look at banks, credit, or your own financial decisions the same way again. Most people think banks are these safe institutions that take deposits and carefully lend them out. Wrong. Dead wrong. In reality, banks are money creation machines operating the most sophisticated con in human history. When you walk into a bank and get approved for a $50,000 loan, they don't go to some vault and pull out cash that other people deposited. They literally create that $50,000 out of thin air by typing numbers into a computer. Boom, new money exists. And here's the kicker. You now owe them $50,000 plus interest on money that never existed until you signed those papers. That's the debt system in its purest, most naked form. Creation from nothing. Profit from everything. But here's why this matters urgently to you right now. This system of money creation through debt is the reason why the cost of living keeps rising. Why economic inequality explodes, why you feel like you're working harder but getting nowhere. Central banks and commercial banks work together in this mechanism that enriches the financial elite while keeping everyone else trapped in perpetual debt. And if you stick with me for the next few minutes, I'm going to break down exactly how this system works. From the medieval trick that started it all, to the modern banking mechanics that run your life, to the inevitable consequences that are setting up the next financial crisis. Ready to see how banks create money from literally nothing? Let's expose the biggest financial secret they don't want you to understand. Let's go back to where this whole thing started, because understanding the origins reveals the scam hiding in plain sight. Centuries ago, medieval goldsmiths offered a simple service. They had secure vaults, so people would store their gold with them for safekeeping. In return, the goldsmith gave you a paper receipt, basically an IOU saying, "This paper represents X amount of gold in my vault." Simple enough, right? But then these goldsmiths noticed something interesting. Not everyone came to withdraw their gold at the same time. Most of those receipts just circulated as money, while the actual gold sat there, untouched. So the clever goldsmith had an idea, a diabolically brilliant idea that would reshape the entire economic system. If people aren't actually withdrawing the gold, why not issue more receipts than I have gold in the vault? He could lend out these paper claims to people who needed money, charge them interest, and as long as everyone didn't show up at once demanding their gold, nobody would ever know. It's like a concert promoter selling 1,000 tickets to a venue that only holds 500 seats, betting that not everyone will actually show up. The goldsmith was creating money from nothing, backed not by actual gold, but by the confidence that people wouldn't all ask for their gold simultaneously. This was the birth of fractional reserve banking, the foundation of the debt system that controls your life today. And here's where it gets wild. This trick worked so well that it became the standard. Those goldsmiths evolved into banks, the paper receipts evolved into currency, and the fundamental con remained exactly the same. Create more claims than you have assets, and profit from the interest. By the time anyone figured out what was happening, the system was so entrenched that it became official policy. Governments and central banks codified this practice, dressed it up in complex financial terminology, and convinced everyone it was legitimate banking rather than what it actually is. Systematic fraud, made legal. The wealth gap you see today, the power of the financial elite, the way corporate power dominates everything, it all traces back to this medieval trick of creating money from nothing and charging real interest on fictional wealth. But the modern version is even more sophisticated. Fast forward to today, and the mechanism has evolved, but the core trick remains identical. Here's how it actually works in the modern economy, and this is going to shatter everything you thought you knew about banking. When you apply for a mortgage, a car loan, or any credit, the bank doesn't check if they have enough deposits to lend you. They check if you're creditworthy, meaning can you pay them back with interest? If yes, they approve the loan, and here's the magic moment. They create a new deposit in your account by simply typing numbers into their computer system. That's it. No vault opened, no depositors' funds transferred, no printing press activated, just keystrokes creating money. The Sabio observer asked the critical question, where did that money come from? The answer is nowhere. It was created in that instant through the loan agreement. You now have $200,000 in your account to buy a house, but that $200,000 didn't exist 5 minutes ago. The bank created it as a deposit and simultaneously created a liability, your loan, on their books. This is what economists call credit creation, but what it really is money creation through debt. Every dollar in your account beyond physical cash was created this way. Someone, somewhere, took on debt, and the bank created the corresponding deposit out of thin air. The money system runs entirely on this mechanism, which is why total debt always exceeds total money supply, because all money is debt. Now here's where the debt system reveals its true genius, or its true evil, depending on your perspective. The bank creates $200,000 for your mortgage, but you owe them back $200,000 plus interest. Let's say over 30 years you end up paying $350,000 total. The bank created $200,000 from nothing and will collect $350,000 in real value. Your actual labor, your time, your life energy. That extra $150,000 in interest? That's pure profit extracted from your work, on money that never existed until you signed the papers. Multiply this across millions of mortgages, car loans, credit cards, student debt, and you see why banks are the most profitable institutions on earth. They create the principal from nothing and collect real wealth as interest. Meanwhile, central banks facilitate this whole system through monetary policy that keeps credit flowing, interest rates manipulated, and the debt machine running 24/7. This is the hidden finance reality behind every transaction in the global economy. But this system has consequences. So what happens when an entire economic system runs on money created from debt? 3 massive unavoidable consequences emerge, and they're destroying the middle class right now. First, perpetual inflation becomes baked into the system. Every time banks create new money through loans, they increase the total money supply. More money chasing the same amount of goods and services means prices rise. That's why the cost of living keeps climbing. Not because things are getting more valuable, but because the money is getting less valuable due to constant creation. Your savings lose purchasing power every year, not by accident, but by design. The debt system requires inflation to function, because it makes old debts easier to pay with devalued money, while banks originate new loans at current prices. Second, perpetual debt becomes mathematically unavoidable. Here's the mind-bending part. If all money is created as debt through bank loans, but you owe back the principal plus interest, where does the money to pay the interest come from? It doesn't exist, unless someone else takes out another loan, creating more debt. The system requires constant expansion of debt just to service existing debt. This is why total global debt keeps growing exponentially, why governments can never pay down their debt crisis, why you feel trapped in credit card payments and student loans. The game is rigged from the start. There's literally not enough money in existence to pay off all debt simultaneously, because money only exists as debt, but debt includes interest that wasn't created. It's a mathematical impossibility designed into the monetary policy itself. Third, and this is the most damaging consequence, wealth concentration accelerates into extreme economic inequality. Think about who benefits from this system. Banks create money from nothing and collect real interest. The financial elite who own assets and lend money get richer every cycle. Meanwhile, everyone else takes on debt to buy houses, education, cars, even basic necessities as wages stagnate. The wealth gap isn't a bug in the system. It's a feature. Those who understand banking power and credit creation position themselves as lenders and asset owners. Those who don't understand become perpetual debtors, working their lives to pay interest on money that never existed. The job market shifts toward corporate power domination. Automation replaces workers to cut costs and increase profits, and youth unemployment climbs while education costs create student debt slavery. All of it traces back to this fundamental mechanism. Banks create money from nothing through the debt system, and everyone else fights over the scraps while paying interest to the creators. The next financial crisis won't fix this. It'll make it worse, because the solution will be more money creation, more debt, and more wealth transfer to those who already own everything. Unless you understand the game and position yourself differently. So there you have it. The debt system explained in its naked, uncomfortable truth. Banks create money from literally nothing. You borrow that nothing and pay back something real. and the entire economic system runs on this mechanism that most people never question. The money in your account, the mortgage on your house, the credit card in your wallet, all of it was created through debt. None of it existed before someone signed loan papers, and all of it enriches banks while keeping you on a treadmill of perpetual payments. Now the question becomes, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going to keep playing the game by their rules, taking on more debt, accepting that the cost of living will keep rising, believing that working harder will somehow get you ahead in a system designed to extract wealth from labor? Or are you going to fundamentally restructure how you think about money, debt, and wealth? Because once you see that banks create money from nothing, you realize that debt isn't inevitable. It's a choice. That mortgage that everyone needs, it's you volunteering for 30 years of payments on money that didn't exist until you asked for it. That car loan, that credit card balance, same thing. You're paying real interest on fictional principal. Here's what I want you to do this week. Calculate how much interest you're currently paying across all your debts. Mortgage, car loan, credit card, student loans, everything. Add it up for the full life of those loans. That number represents real wealth being extracted from your labor for money that was created from nothing. Sit with that, feel that. Then ask yourself, how can I restructure my finances to minimize my participation in the debt system? How can I position myself as an asset owner rather than a perpetual debtor? How can I escape the trap that catches 99% of people who never understand what you now understand? And if this video fundamentally changed how you see money, banking, and debt, if you now see the system for what it really is rather than what they tell you it is, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on notifications. Because what's coming next goes even deeper. The next video will show you exactly how to use this knowledge to protect yourself from the next financial crisis, how to position yourself on the winning side of the debt system, and specific strategies for building real wealth in an economy designed to keep you in debt slavery. The system won't change, but your position in it can. The choice is yours.